3 people killed, at least 13 injured after Russia carried out another night of drone strikes on Ukraine. Monday into Tuesday, Kyiv, the capital, the main target. 1 person was killed in Kyiv's Oblonsky district. Over 300 drones were sent by Putin's military aimed at Ukraine's capital. Odessa in the south was also struck. 2 people there were killed, 9 injured. A maternity hospital and residential buildings in Odessa were hit. In all, over 315 drones were launched. Shahed attack units from Iran provided to the Russian military. President Vladimir Zelensky described it as one of the biggest strikes of the war. This follows over 400 drones fired at Ukraine the night before. Nonetheless, around 1,000 prisoners of war were swapped this Tuesday. Let's get some broader analysis of the situation and bring in Peter Zalmayev. Peter joining us live from Kyiv. Peter is, as you probably remember, director of the Eurasia Democracy Initiative. Peter, as always, a very good evening to you. The scale of Russia's attacks over the past 2 nights and the targets they've chosen, it's very clear. Russia here escalating the war.
Well, Russia's been escalating the war, obviously, since the get-go, and Vladimir Putin, if anything, has stepped up his terror campaign against the civilians, pretty much feeling impunity at the hands of the great mediator Donald Trump, who has threatened to walk away, who has actually refused to put Putin's feet to the fire and urge him to abstain from retaliating, as evidenced by his comments on that 4th time they spoke over the phone. So Vladimir Putin is not feeling any heat from Washington. He feels that he can just continue doing what he's doing and not suffer the consequences, while at the same time hoping that the summer offensive that he is starting in the north and the east and the southeast will allow him to deliver a knockout blow against the Ukrainian armed forces this summer. A tall order, probably not going to happen, but you cannot, blame Putin for trying and for, believing that his goals are near.
When we first spoke, you and I, March 2022, just after the invasion was launched, the feeling was, and not in your mind, because you obviously believed that Ukraine could repel Russia, but I think the feeling amongst most people was that Russia was going to basically overwhelm Ukraine and capture Zelensky and basically take over the whole country. That hasn't happened. So in many ways, that is a success and a feather in Ukraine's cap. However, the situation as it is difficult and delicate for you. Zelensky calling for concrete action from the United States. You just alluded to this, Peter. That's the thing that Trump isn't going to do. Trump is full of noise, full of wind, but not really taking any action.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the action that is being taken is actually encouraging Putin in his belief that, just a little time that he needs, and like I said, to deliver that decisive blow in the absence of American anti-air defense missiles, Patriot missiles. It's going to be much harder for Ukrainians to continue to resist, for civilians to, continue to keep a brave face about what is happening. Just recently, the Pentagon made a decision to reroute the 20,000 air defense missiles from Ukraine to Israel. That obviously this is not very encouraging, and whatever plans that are being made between Ukraine and the European allies may come a bit too late. I hope they don't. But I'm talking about joint, production of weaponry that is being discussed both on the territory of Ukraine with the German chancellor, but also actually, and this is what the defense minister of Ukraine just today announced, that Ukraine may start production of weaponry outside of its borders in some unnamed European countries. This could not come too soon. And once again, we're talking about drones. I mean, this is all about drones, and drones is the only thing that will allow Ukraine to continue to resist successfully, asymmetrically against a much larger foe.
And the weapons that Russia is using, Peter, Shahed drones supplied by Iran. There have even been North Korean missiles used, according to Ukrainian sources, in the attacks overnight, indicating that the nature of this war is far beyond how Trump tends to look at it as a local battle. There are international forces in play here.
And once again, Mark, I've always remarked how I'm sometimes I don my Ukrainian hat, sometimes my American. Right now, I'm donning my Ukrainian American hat, and I'm at a loss to explain the behavior of the American president, especially that now that we have a uniquely bipartisan consensus in the Senate, over 80, as many as 80 senators out of a total of 100 are willing to pass a law with new sanctions on Russia, and Donald Trump is prevaricating. Precisely what you said, Russia has been able to secure, the assistance of the deplorables of this world. Let's not mince words here. I'm talking about North Korea. We've also seen some evidence that the Chinese might be fighting on behalf of Russia, while Donald Trump is now openly discussing walking away from Ukraine. I just hope that, this is a losing strategy for Donald Trump. I'm hearing, commentary in American media, including in late night comedy, etc., and people are seeing Donald Trump's behavior for what it is, giving Putin too much, getting nothing in return. It's to the point where Putin is actually humiliating Trump, whether Trump sees it that way or not. And I hope that the senators, both Republican and Democrat, finally prevail and knock some sense into Donald Trump, because we need some concrete action so Putin does not feel that sense of, as I said, impunity in his behavior towards Ukraine.
Peter Zalmayev, thank you very much indeed from the Eurasia Democracy Initiative. Do stay safe there in Kyiv. Peter Zalmayev, our guest there from Ukraine. Thank you, sir, as always. Let's move to our focus.